Hello, Dominic from BMT Spain, the website for beginners to advanced players. And this video is about the forehand volley, consciously turning the racket against the ball or playing the ball consciously out of your hand against the ball. Now in this video we won't start with shadow swings, but we will start with the rolling, throwing and the tapping movement. So rolling I used against the wall, then I don't have to run much. We are not going to roll out of the arm, but we are going to roll the ball out of our hand. So we will get in that extension motion and we will have that flexion motion to roll the ball. So extension, flexion to roll the ball. So you have the feeling, up, you're rolling the ball. Yeah. The idea is that you understand, now my hand is pointing down and I make that extension and flexion motion. Then we are going to go to the mid-high contact. So I will throw the ball now, but again, not out of my arm, out of my hand, like this, like up. Again, I start in that extension and I make that flexion motion. We do that a few times and then we are going to tap the ball. So here I'm tapping the ball. For this you can use a bigger plastic ball, yeah, to control better, but the motion, I'm starting again in that extension and I go into that flexion against the ball. I flexion against the ball. So just to have the idea, that's why I made that video last week about the feather challenge. Yeah? So this motion is the flexion motion, no matter in which position your hand is. If your hand is in this position, or your hand is in that position, or your hand is in that position. So our volley is again consciously turning that racket against the ball, no matter in which position you are. Even the low volleys, I know that they will ask you in some schools to keep the racket above the wrist and getting very low in the knees to get under that ball, but it's not good for the knees, it's not good for the back. So what my mentor said, Oscar Wegner, is track it with the racket. What does that mean? That means that the tip of my racket will go to the ball, like the low volley for instance, my racket will go to the ball, I will get in that extension position and then I will flexion against the ball. The same with the mid-high, I will track the ball with my racket, get in that extension and then flexion against the ball. The same with the higher balls, track it with the racket, get in extension and flexion against the ball. We don't want to bring the arm back, we don't want to turn our body, we want to open the racket, which is the tracking part. Depending on where the ball goes, we open or we track the ball and from there we get in that extension and we flexion against the ball. We will not always be able, for that we will start always in the basic open position. If we don't have to move, we don't want to move, we just want to get the racket behind that ball, and if the ball is further, we need that step out. Step out is always, can be the backhand, will always be the leg of the side you want to go. So you step out, tracking the ball, stepping out to get there, getting an extension, flexion against the ball, and if we don't get there, we need to follow with our body. So we track it, we step out, we don't get there, and then we go. So this step is not really stepping into the ball, this is just getting to the ball. So that's the difference. At BMT we don't speak a lot about stepping in because it's a lot of body movement. Also here, that low ball, a lot of body, and we want to first control our body. So for that at BMT we don't take that volley like this, but this volley we will do like this. So we are more straight up, we are more balanced, so we will have better control over that ball. So to go to the shadow movement, yeah, first do a little open position, lower contacts, extension, flexion. Racket tracks the ball, get in extension and flexion. You do that a few times, 1, 2, so you can say 1, 2, 3, track it, extension, flexion. Then you go to the mid-high ball. So you track the ball with the racket, you get in that extension and flexion. Consciously turning the racket against the ball. Do that a few times, Same with the high balls. Racket goes up, goes back, and we just flexion. We turn the racket against the ball consciously. We don't want to use our body. We don't want to use our arm. We just want to control our contact here by flexion or turning the racket against the ball. Now, the ball will not always come to us. For that, the first thing we will do is step out. And first we track, racket starts to go. We see that we cannot get there. We step out, get in that extension, and then the flexion. Again, you can do that in the 3 different heights. So you track it, so up, you play this volley in this position, and you don't play that volley in that position. You want to stay as long as possible front to your opponent. So track it down, step out, extension, flexion against the ball. Track it, extension, flexion. Pop, pop. And you do the same on the mid-high volleys. Track it, step out, extension, and turn the racket against that ball. You do that a few times. Racket goes, feet follows. Racket goes, feet follows. Then you tap, pop, tap the ball, or flexion against the ball, or turning the racket consciously against the ball. You do the same with the higher ones. Racket goes, feet follows, extension, flexion. So we go. This is your volley. Keep it as short as possible. Keep it as simple as possible instead of going in this way. Track it with the racket and just tap the ball. Now, if you cannot get there with just a step out, your body needs to follow, so you will get that step out, and now my racket has to track the ball. I need to follow. So this is not a step in, this is stepping towards the ball to get there. The step in means that you're stepping or we're falling literally into the ball. Can be a good thing if the ball gets close to you here, but in tennis they will try to make a passing shot, as though the ball will be more on the side. So for that we have to practice a lot the step out and get behind the ball. Also when you're here, you cannot step in, so your power has to come more and in control, more out here of the hand instead of going and using too much body. So start in open position, start with step out the next, and then you go back open and step towards the ball. These are the things we practice in the shadow tennis, and now we are going to practice them with the ball in the game, but we will do the 3 steps: low, mid and higher context. So let's check out with the ball. So we're going to bring in the balls, but we will start with the lower volleys. That's why I put myself on the service line. This is a place where you play a lot of the first volley. You come onto the net, a lot of volleys will be here. You do serve volley, a lot of volleys will be around here. So that's why a lot of times we need that low volley. But the 3 steps again, without moving, with stepping out and step out and getting behind the ball. So let's try the lower volley, track it with the racket, getting an extension and flexion against the ball. Track it, getting in that extension and flexion against the ball. Stepping out, track it, stepping out, tracking the ball. And as you can see, I'm not stepping into the ball, I'm stepping out. I try to stay as long as possible to the front, and here I have a much better balance and control over my ball instead of having that position. Now you are going to step out and step towards the ball, get behind the ball. Step out and get behind the ball. Track it, the racket goes, and once we are here, we get in that extension. We get in that extension, and from here, we turn the racket consciously against that ball, out of our hand, tapping the ball, flexion against the ball. Voila. 2 more. Up, nice volleys. Up, playing out of the hand. Now, when we are closer to the net, most of the balls are higher, then we will get the next progression, the mid-high balls and the higher balls. So let's do a few of them also, but closer to the net. So from here on, again, first without moving, I'm just going to open and flexion, track it, yeah, getting that racket, when you track it into that extension, and then from here track it, extension, and just flexion against that ball, yeah. Now we can also have the higher balls. The racket will go up. We track it with the racket. Racket is up. We get in that extension position. Track it, extension and flexion. Track it, extension and flexion. That's how easy a volley should be. Get the racket behind the ball. Get the racket in a position, in an extended position, and just flexion against the ball. Now the same, but I need to step out. I track it. I get in that extension motion, sorry, and now I flexion against the ball. Track it, extension, flexion. Track it, extension, flexion. And now this is a higher ball, it stays the same. Now you're going to do the further balls, yeah. I will step out, keep tracking the ball, but because I cannot get there, I have to get towards the ball, I have to get behind the ball. So again, track it, goes until here. Yeah, track the ball. Track the ball and get in that extension. Track it, getting in that extension, and now I will flexion, I will turn the racket consciously against that ball. 3 more. And a nice volley. I track it, get in position, and I turn the racket consciously against that ball out of my hand. So these are the 3 steps. Go out, try to do it. Don't use that body turn, don't bring the arm back. Open the racket out of your hand. So you open it, this part is where the traction starts. So if the ball goes up, you go in that direction. If the ball will be down, you open in that direction. Once you get behind the ball, you get in that extension position and you just flexion. You turn that racket out of the hand against the ball. So, thank you for watching. See you in the next video.